President Trump signing D.C.'s latest COVID relief package into law, providing billions in aid for the struggling airline industry. Let's welcome Sara Nelson, International President of the Association of Flight Attendants. Thanks for joining us. I saw your notes. You were all ready just to rail against Trump not signing it, but he signed it, so I don't know what to talk about, Sara. You're happy with the 600, but I mean, I can tell you'd much rather have 2,000. So what was your point? 2,000 wasn't possible, so do the 600.
Well, listen, for us, this really wasn't about the 600. I mean, we absolutely support everyone getting direct checks of 2,000. It needs to be a lot more than that for recovery. But our point here was that this was an emergency relief package for 4 months to help us bridge to a place where we can talk about a real recovery. In the airline industry, what this meant was our jobs. So I've got about half of my union right now without getting a paycheck. And now that this has become law, they're going to be recalled to their jobs. They're going to get a paycheck, get connected back to their health care, have retirement payments and everything else that comes with that, allow them to pay taxes, spend back into the economy. And the airlines will be able to put the infrastructure back together that supports the nation. This is necessary for the distribution of the vaccine. All of this is really important to keep us moving. We had a workers first package that said that the money could only go to our payroll and benefits, no stock buybacks, a ban on stock buybacks well after the relief ends, and a cap on executive compensation for 2 years after the relief ends. So this is what's in the package for us, and this is our jobs. This is our health care, so it's a big deal.
What is the current state of that you're hearing of the industry? Are the middle seats still blocked off? Are things coming back at all? And is this going to be enough of a bridge with to the vaccine to where you think that people being called back now are going to have jobs in a year?
Well, let's be really clear. I mean, the airlines are still in a really tough spot because even though you see demand climbing back a little bit, almost to 50% now, we're talking about half of that in revenues. So this has been a sustained hurt for the airlines. It's not a normal time. This is not a normal economic situation or a situation where the airlines made bad business decisions and they've got to restructure. We're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, and until we get the coronavirus under control, people are just not going to come back. That demand's not going to be there as long as CDC is telling businesses don't travel. We're not going to have that business and be able to recover. But the good news here is that we do have a vaccine, and we're getting people recalled to their jobs, so we'll have the infrastructure in place to distribute it as quickly as possible. The package that was passed by Congress and signed by the president yesterday has money for distribution of that vaccine and for procurement of that vaccine, testing, and a real plan to be able to get in place to start to get this under control. So we have a really good outlook here, and we have also naturally shrunk a little bit. So the two will start to meet. We may need some additional funds to get us to the summer, but this is going to get us to a place where we can much better assess the problem, have everyone in place to be able to lift our economy again, and get us to a place where we can talk about a real recovery.
You talked to your colleagues, and they're all at many different airlines. Who's done the best job, which management would you say, in serving both the public and its employees and dealing with this situation? Who's done the best and who's done the worst?
Oh, boy. Well, that is a tough question. But let me tell you something. We have worked really, really closely with the industry here. They have been responsive when we've had no plan from the federal government. They responded within a week with our call for a national mask mandate, at least on airplanes and in airports. And I'll tell you, leading the pack and doing a really good job on safety is Frontier. They have been amazing. And we have worked really well with all of the airlines across the board. We've got an organizing campaign at Delta Airlines. The reason that the airlines have been responsive is because we have a voice in safety. We're 80% union in the airline industry, and we're integrated into all of those talks with the government, with the airlines, and with our partners around the world. So we need to get a voice at Delta Airlines as well, and that's really important. But I have to tell you, what was really concerning for us was that we were starting to see the stress and strain of cost cutting into some bad decisions on public health. So this emergency relief is going to allow us to hold the airlines' feet to the fire about having all the layers of safety in place. And those middle seats are nice and not necessarily a bad thing, but you cannot properly socially distance on a plane. And so what's really important is the mask policies, the the HEPA filtration, and airflow that is way better than any office building, the service procedures. So some of the airlines have started to put back aisle service. That is a no-no. That is not a good idea. And we're going to continue to make sure that we have all those layers in place so that we have a controlled environment, minimize the risk of spread on an airplane, and help to get the vaccine out there so that we can all get back to normal.
Until that happens, do you ever think you can overcome the trepidation that I think most people still feel about getting on an airplane? You can talk about filtration and all these things again and again and again, but there's just, as you say, you can't really socially distance, and you can't be there for 5, 6, 10 minutes. You got to be there for the duration of the flight. It just is a daunting thing to try to convince people that it's safe.
That is, I mean, the vaccine, the coronavirus is the threat here, and we've got to eradicate that. People want to get out, though. They cannot wait to get out, and I believe that we saw a study out of UCLA that echoes something I've been saying for a long time. What came after the Spanish flu? The roaring 20s. And so we expect that as soon as people start to get vaccinated, we get this under control, we've got rapid testing going on and a real plan to combat this, people are going to want to get back out in the air. And the first time that there's a business deal done because someone went there in person, that all that business travel is going to be back too. So we have a really good outlook about this, and I think that having a real plan to get the vaccine distributed, get coronavirus under control, we're going to see a return of the airlines, and we're looking good by next summer.
So you think that even the business travel, that there's going to be a pent-up need for that? I certainly think it's true with leisure travel, but that people can't wait to do their favorite things. Businesses have they've learned to get by without it, and you wonder how much of that is carried over even after it's completely safe, because they look at their balance sheet, it's like, oh my, or income statement, and they go, look at this. I didn't need to be spending all that money. I would worry about that.
Yeah, they're going to be doing that right now. They are. They're making plans on that right now, but nothing replaces going there in person. And we're going to see that come back because there's just no way to properly do business without having those relationships, those in-person conversations. People want to be able to do that. They want to be able to connect. And we're going to see that come back again. I'm sure of it. We've seen it over and over again when travel has been diminished. We saw it after 9/11. That business travel will come back. And what we see is that the more that people are connected by technology, the more that they want to travel and be together. So we're pretty confident that that is going to come back by this next summer.
You might be right. I mean, I wonder about that. I wonder about the engagement on those Zoom meetings where I'm like, if you're there, it's. I wonder if it's 50% engagement. How much? It's definitely not the same. I don't think.
It's not the same. It's not.
I wasn't talking about CNBC Zoom meetings. Those I'm like just fixated.
You're totally zoned in, right?
Even better than being there. Anyway, Sara, thank you. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.